Welcome to the third and final video about the future of performance marketing. In the first one, I talked about how automation and lots of data are shaping the landscape of digital marketing. Then, I described how these changes are transforming the day-to-day of performance marketers everywhere. And now, in this final video, I'll explain how I believe performance marketing teams should structure themselves if they want to be set up for success. Let's jump in. If you follow the past two videos, by now you should understand that performance marketing team structure is in need of a big overhaul. I believe the new optimal structure will be organized around three main pillars. The first pillar of performance marketing teams will be all about strategy and account management. This is the area responsible for taking business strategy and bringing it to life inside advertising channels. It is in fact the part of the job that remains most similar to what we understand as performance marketing today. There is, however, a key difference. Instead of focusing on micro adjustments on the platforms, the strategists will be thinking about cross-channel interactions and business bottom line. There are several responsibilities that will fall within the strategists. The first of them is ad account management. Yes, algorithms are becoming a bigger part of account management, but good marketers still have a place. I like to think about it using the framework proposed by Frederick Valle. He argues that with all the automation we have right now, media buyers and PPC professionals can take three different roles. As a doctor, your job is to make sure the patient, that is, your ad account, is healthy. And when it is not, you should be able to diagnose symptoms, prescribe medication, and nurture it back to health. As a pilot, the marketer needs to check if the craft has everything it needs for the trip, set the destination, and then take care of takeoff. After that, the plane basically flies by itself. You just need to be there in case there's some unexpected turbulence. Finally, the marketer can be a teacher. If the future performance marketing is all about machine learning, your role is also to find right signals so that machine learns what you want it to. Here, your goal is to identify what data is needed for the algorithms to work properly. The second big area of responsibility for the strategists is all about cross-channel thinking. One of the big challenges of digital marketers is solving attribution and incrementality. Sophisticated marketers know that the customer journey is messy, with multiple interactions and touchpoints. And because of all the data limitations, attributing credit to these touchpoints is increasingly hard. The strategists understand that the best results don't come from a single channel, but from a synergy between all the activities a brand or a company run. Part of their role then is to understanding where this synergy lies and figuring out what is the best media mix to achieve the company goals. The best way to find the optimal media mix? Testing. And this should also be on the strategy's plate. Good performance teams understand that testing never ends, and they are always trying different account structures, conversion goals, placements, campaign types, ad networks, messaging, landing page, and much more. Finally, the strategists also have a role with collaborating with other teams. Think about it. If their mission is to make the company strategy come true, they need to interact with teams like sales, customer service, finance, and product so they can understand the product strengths and weaknesses and consider it into advertising strategy. To summarize, the strategists are performance marketers working as strategy facilitators. The second pillar of a performance marketing team is all about data. By data, I mean being able to build an infrastructure for data collection and also having the skills for advanced data analysis. Let's start with the infrastructure part. As I mentioned in my previous videos, data collection for advertising and marketing purposes is becoming harder. Enter things like conversion API and server-side tracking. These are solutions to getting data from and sending data to advertising platforms that don't rely on cookies, making it more robust in a cookie-deprecating world. However, while a cookie is installed with a couple of lines of code, Conversion APIs require setting up your own server and then manually coding events and feeding it back to the ad platform endpoint. Just by the sound of it, you can get this more complex, right? Of course, a performance team could ask for a more technical team to implement it. But by having the technical skills within the performance team, they can test, iterate, and make sure data collection and feedback is always the best as it can be, and of course, compliant with all the changing legal requirements. Okay, now to data analysis. Due to data collection limitations, marketing data analysis are bound to become more complex. If you don't have access to all the steps in the customer journey, you need to overcome the lack of visibility with a lot of mathematics and statistical modeling. I believe marketing mix modeling, or MMM, is the most common example. In short, it's a statistical technique that attempts to give you a view of how different tactics are contributing to our results. If you ever tried to run such a model, you know they're not trivial, and to understand its results, it requires some math skills. And if your team want to go even further, you can also start building things like predictive models and feed that back into advertising channels to improve their performance. Let me explain with a quick example. Imagine you are selling app subscriptions at $15 per month, and your ads on Google brought you 2 new customers, Bob and Joe. You run the numbers and you can see the cost of acquiring Bob was $2, while Joe was $5. At face value, Bob was a better deal. You paid $2 and now you'll be getting $15 from him every month. While Joe, you paid $5 for the same $15 in return. The first instinct is to go back to Google and increase the volume on the ads that brought Bob. However, Bob canceled their subscription after 3 weeks, while Joe upgraded to a yearly plan and is a very active user. A robust data and infrastructure team could help you model this, identifying patterns that could predict that Joe would be a better user and feed that back to Google so it finds more users like Joe. This is the part of performance team that works as signal curators. Finally, the third part of the performance marketing team, the creative squad. The core responsibility of these people is creating high-performing ads. These are essential for a successful team. Let me explain why. First of all, creatives are the single biggest lever performance marketing team can pull. A study run by Nielsen some years back showed that creatives is the biggest contributor to digital sales, adding up to 56% of sales. Targeting, reach, brand, and all the rest contributed just 44% of it. Then, there's the idea that creative does the targeting. Let's jump into another example. Imagine you are selling gaming-themed dog collars. Pretty niche, I know, but stay with me. In the old days, you could just stack interests as pets and PlayStations and a dozen more to find a super niche group of people, and the algorithms would just deliver your ads to them. Now, as I explored before, since platforms are losing a lot of data, audiences are becoming less effective. Today, the best way to reach your dog lover gamers is by focusing on ads that are highly tailored to them. You would show these ads to a super broad audience, but because your niche would engage more than the average population, the platforms would try to deliver your ad more to people that look like them. It's the virtuous circle of creative power performance. Finally, there's also the fact that advertising platforms are slowly increasing how many ads they show to users. There are a couple of reasons for it, but I'll try to simplify. Once again, we start at data loss. Because of tracking limitations, ad platforms can claim less conversions than what they used to, meaning that advertisers can prove less returns, hence spending less. Also, there is pressure on the platforms for revenue targets and growth. There are some ways to increase revenue, such as getting more users or increasing time on site, but the easiest is simply increasing the number of ads you show to people. Now, there's a thing called ad fatigue. If your ads are being shown more and more, people get tired of it faster. As a result, you need to produce more ads faster. Lucky you, these ads don't need to be high production ones. Platforms such as Facebook and TikTok are always trying to make people spend more time scrolling. Hence, they prioritize ads that maximize user experience. That is, those that blend well with user feeds and that feel organic. This all means your ads can be filmed internally and to be somewhat lo-fi. Remember, your ads are competing with cat pictures, memes, and engagement announcements, not Super Bowl ads. You don't need a film studio, but a squad of talented, multi-skilled people that will be able to create, produce, and launch ads fast. This is performance marketing as a creative hub. There you go, the 3 pillars of the future performance marketing teams. Strategists to manage ad accounts and coordinate with other parts of the business. Data and infrastructure to make sure data is being collected, understood, and fed back to several ad platforms. And creative to power business performance with festive creative iteration. By covering these 3 areas, a performance team is well suited for all the challenges and changes in the landscape. They have the power to implement, test, iterate, investigate, and use media and advertising to power the business forward. As I said back in the first video, performance marketing is changing rapidly, and if you want to stay at top, you'll need to combine data, strategy, and creativity, and realize that you need the 3 of those to be successful. That was it for me. Thank you for watching, and let me... I need that typed down.
I will add this in the video.
Okay. That was it for me. Thank you for watching, and let me know what you think in the comments.